that's it. Yes, sir.
So two questions, which I'd be interested to hear your response to. So at the very beginning, you had your nice two pictures. One was a castle and one was a set of modern homes. And my interpretation of that, to me, was sort of like the castle was, the CMS was sort of a Web 2.0, very interactive, and then you're going to sort of take that content and, your tree analogy, make it presented and expose everything that happens in the castle is sort of a Web 1.0. And I greatly take to heart in terms of working with organizations today how that organizations are separated that way, and that might help in working with them. But one of the challenges there is that then you're assuming going forward that there's not a Web 2.0 need for the client and the end user interaction of that content once it's actually delivered.
So the question, just in case anyone hasn't heard it, I'll also repeat it back because I don't want to answer what one question is. So in this model, in transit, this is very Web 1.0. There's a decoupling of the presentations here, and we can't do Web 2.0. We can't provide Web 2.0 like features. Well, I don't know if that's, I'm not sure if that's exactly the case. So if you look at Web 2.0, how often, so Web 2.0 to me, let's turn this around and frame it so to make sure that we all are on the same page. Web 2.0 to me means user-generated content, user interactivity. Is that correct?
I would say that Web 2.0 may not be so much that the user is adding content as much as they may be attributing content that exists. So let's take a simple analogy here. I go to Amazon.com. I didn't create the reference for a book, but I say, this book is a 4, and here's why.
So user-generated content, right? So what kind of, what are the differences between user-generated content and content in the content management system? So my understanding and the way that I've talked to people who have been deploying fairly large applications. And a fairly large application, user-generated content is typically handled totally in isolation from the content management system. 100%. I'm talking about YouTube or big systems, right? And these systems are really, really sort of modernized around, it is the epitome of dynamism that is on content often. It's a layer on top of Web 1.0, if you will, right? We're sort of layering voting, we're layering comments, we're layering the technology on top of the centralized editorial content. Often, user-generated content does not go through workflow. It is treated differently. The Web 2.0 is almost often, here an example, would be highly write-sensitive. Is that what you think of Web 2.0? Highly write-sensitive, where people are interacting with the system and adding lots of attributes onto the system, onto content. There's personalization is a really big one. Sort of a Web 1.0 that's gone 2.0, right, by commodity. And so all of these things, I believe, you could build inside of Plone. There's no doubt. But the best practice that I've seen has been layering sort of REST style and JSON responses and input and out of putting content or layering it on top of the CMS sort of the CMS structure, if you will. So to be technical would be something like exposing inside of your URLs REST, so a person can dynamically, with JavaScript, add a comment here. They know you know the content they're looking at. It's being reported in a relational database almost always because of the write sensitivity to it, right? Lots and lots and lots of writing. And I see it as a layering technique and not necessarily a mutually exclusive or sort of a as something that is as either or, I guess.
So the second question is just